Welcome to the Featured Anime Podcast. I'm your host, Jack.
And I'm Rick.
And today we are talking about Link Click, which was an anonymous recommendation. So thank you for that. But before all that, we were talking about my diet, lifestyle changes, everything honestly kind of having to do with food and how Rick is very unenthused when he talks about the food he eats and the joys
specifically the healthy ones.
Right. So if you want to catch a part of the wider conversation, patreon.com/featured anime podcast, or if you don't want to support us like that, you can also check out the affiliate links that we have down in the show notes for you. Right Stuff Anime. It's a great place where you can go get all your anime needs. You use any of the links that we provided for you down there. We do get a little bit of a kickback, so that is very much appreciated. Or you can buy some of our own personal merch at shop.featuredanimepodcast.com. And for all information in general, you can go to featuredanimepodcast.com. Now, on to the meat and potatoes. Link Click came out in April 2021, ran all the way through July 2021. It's at 11 episodes long. Produces for our Bilibili and B Dream, Studio Land. It is an original, so there is no source material for this. The genres for it are drama, supernatural, and time travel.
Did you say time travel?
Yes, I did. We can't forget about the time traveling granddaughters, but instead of granddaughters, they were grandchildren and nieces and nephews, or rather nephews this time, actually.
Everyone.
Not everyone.
Not
everyone. Just a nephew.
Were you able to figure out how this power seemed to work?
How the what?
How their power seemed to work?
Like
the ability to go back in time.
The power of high fives?
Power of friendship.
No, the power of high fives. I mean, like, if I remember correctly, he even specifically states, what if I high five myself? I mean, commonly known as clapping, but he wants to, like, how do I, what if I high five myself?
Commonly known as clapping.
Well, I mean, what else would you call clapping?
Yeah, I guess a lonely high five. That would make sense.
Yeah. Okay. So there you go.
That should be a Discord Discord level. The lonely high five.
The lonely high five.
Oh goodness. So did you notice now you say there's no source material, right?
Right, it's an original.
How original do you think it is?
I mean, if you're going, well, I feel like there was inspiration for this off of here. I mean, you're going to find that pretty much across the board. No matter.
Is there any media that you can think of that is similar? Similar premise. Maybe the execution's different.
I mean,
maybe the rules are a little different.
There's like none that I can name off the top of my head.
This gave me Quantum Leap vibes so hard. The only difference is most of them.
This screamed Quantum Leap. I mean, but there was no similarity in between the two. I get what you're saying. Like, in terms of Quantum Leap, like the main character travels back in time and he goes into someone else's body and assumes their body. However, there is a very big difference.
In Quantum Leap, his objective is to change things for the better. In here, they're trying to gain information.
Yes.
Most of the time. Sometimes that history has changed often by accident, but history has definitely changed.
Yeah. Yeah. But the thing is it's not that he's, they're going back in time to just change or gather information. It's to gather a specific set of information. So you have our main characters, right? You have the duo of them. You have Chang and Lu. Lu, the white-haired individual, he can see into the past. If he has the picture, he can see the cameras, the technology, and everything that kind of surround and revolve around it. given the specific circumstances, is what I gather. Whether it be an actual picture or a video camera, doesn't matter. And then you have Chang, the other individual who can jump into the picture or video only once to be able to gather that information. And so you have Lou, who gives him a guiding hand, is like, you have to do this. I'll tell you what you have to say, but you can't change anything in the past. And it goes honestly back to Time of Eve, right? Where we had talked about, or not Time of Eve, but Erased. And just last episode, Yeah, last episode, right? Erased? Yeah.
Yes.
And how it was a butterfly effect. Well, this first episode has like one thing change, and he's told not to do something. He ends up doing it, and it ends up causing a ripple effect of changes that cascade. And it's a very light and thin string of fate from this one instance, this one thing. All these other things ended up changing. All these other happenstances ended up changing because of it.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. But onto that, following that to a similar, in my
also, we can't forget about the time limit. Chang only has 12 hours to be able to do it. He only goes back for 12 hours. After that, he's not there anymore.
Correct. So my question would be,
thing is, real quick, sorry.
Yep.
Is he can actually go back in time without actually assuming a body. He can just go back there and be himself.
Yeah, that was quite odd. And it felt like one was vastly more experienced than the other.
Wait, what?
The white-haired guy was vastly more experienced, in my opinion, than the other.
What do you mean?
Of the pair, one seemed to know what he was doing. The other one was just like, "Oh, sweet, we can do that."
Yeah, that was supposed to be how it came across, because of, I'm assuming, his power. In case you couldn't pick up on it from the hairstyles, personality styles, mentality, everything, it was meant to simulate yin yang.
I'm gonna hang up.
What?
We gotta.
What?
In case you missed it, dude, I didn't even notice.
Oh, yeah, it was.
It was so obvious. One little sentence rocks my whole fucking view of the show. Jesus, man.
I thought it was plain as day. It was like, oh, yin yang, obviously. I mean, like, Chang and Lu is like complete, total opposite in personalities, complete, total opposite in powers, and how they approach the mentality, the colors. Like, you have
no, I agree.
I mean,
I 100% agree with you. No. It makes beautiful sense. However, when I was watching it, all I saw, I gotta change it to things I understand. I don't understand yin and yang and balance and perfect diet like some other people. But what I do understand is you have a jaded, experienced, older person showing the ropes to a younger person. But that's how it came across. I thought the white hair signified age.
No, he's younger. They even stated it a few times.
Of course they are.
They stated it a few times, like even in episode 1.
Well, no. So
even in episode 1.
They did state that he was younger. I agree. But I thought, this is just me, because the white-haired dude, I'm sorry, I'm really bad with names. I always have been. Luke. The white-haired dude was able to look at the picture and relive portions of the picture. So I assumed, probably incorrectly, but hey, it was my assumption. I'm going with it. I assumed that it wasn't just him looking at a picture and viewing it. It was him looking at a picture and living that 12 hours. I assumed that it was him spending his life, because he went through in one instance, right? He looks at a picture to see if he can get anything out of it, and he replays all 12 hours, at least from what I can understand, in the course of a few minutes. He went, wait, what? Why is he there? Hold on. Threw stuff away and tried to, because he's looking at the past that already happened.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can't
So
justify how you're able to see more than a few minutes in a few minutes or less. Yeah,
I know I get it. I get it. And I'm not arguing against that. All right. I mean,
But that's why I thought he was
totally
older. He might be physically younger, but mentally and like lifespan wise, I figured he was spending a shit ton of his life in other aspects.
Well, it's like how you like to watch movies or videos at like 1.5, 2 times speed, right?
Hmm.
Same principle would apply. He's just fast forwarding through a series of events to see if see if there's a way for him to be able to catch it, see where they can gather the information. It's not that he's necessarily reliving the whole events all 12 hours. He's just being a third person view, watching a video, and he's able to dissect a 12-hour span of it. However, he doesn't know the whole story or anything like that, because if they black out at a certain point, or if they're unconscious at a certain point or anything like that, that inhibits their ability to view things, they're not, he's not going to be able to see beyond that.
No, I agree with that. Like, for instance, one of the duo fell asleep while the other was in the past, and I don't think he understood what happened or any changes that were made. So it's kind of like a blind spot. So they both have to be alert. They both have to be up. They both have to be, there to make it work.
Yeah. But this is also it's a Chinese animation. So the animation style, the dialogue, the whole, I want to say, inflection and verbiage that's typically used for the anime that we typically watch was actually vastly different for this. I mean, I can't recall any anime, Japanese or English dubbed anime, where the main character or any character would call them auntie, or where auntie was a common usage for an elderly female.
Yes, that makes sense.
So, but here they used it several times, or at least Chang used it a few times.
Yeah, it was his coverall.
Yeah,
so he wouldn't have to learn names and whatnot.
Yeah, but at the same time, for your argument of he would relive the 12 hours for the individual or through the individual or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Chang also literally, not through time and a half, but literally spends 12 hours as an individual in the past.
Yeah, feeling those feelings and then
the emotions,
reliving,
the thoughts, the memories, the everything. So it compounds and amplifies within him. So when they're feeling really depressed or sad or anything like that, he develops that personal, intimate bond with the individual that he's overtaking, that he's taking over to be able to get said information.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also like reliving traumatic experiences. It's not all sunshine and roses.
Yeah. I mean, the very first one was damn near sexual assault.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man.
But
yeah.
then
not every day is going to be a fantastic day.
Exactly. And, one of the ones that he ends up reliving an event where the person that he's overtaking to be able to give the messages to in the past, he ends up being there while that individual's mother dies, and they die protecting him.
Yeah, it was so sad. Like, I genuinely teared up a few times during here. I'm like, it's not fair. And like, why can't you change stuff? Why can't you try to change stuff? So, and then you've got one guy who's really, really trying, and you've got one guy, the older gentleman, who's like, you really shouldn't. And all right, fine, I'll tell you exactly how to do it, but nothing's going to change.
Yeah. Well, it's not even just that, right? And here's my thought process, right? Like, while the show like depicts all these changes, like, hey, if you change this one thing, all these changes will happen, and it's because I did this one thing. And even though Lou, the white-haired individual, tells Chang, the black-haired individual, not to change anything, Chang inevitably still does try to change something. But
yeah,
and I forget who I was talking to about this. It's like time travel has always been like a bugaboo about me, right?
Okay.
and here's how this one I feel like it was portrayed, that the even though he traveled back in time and quote unquote changed something, what if it never was changed? What if it was always like that? And we're just, because of the current present mentality, it was like, oh, that changed in the past now, but that's not actually what happened. It's always been like that in the past.
See, it's funny you say that because that's almost exactly the reference he was saying before. That's almost exactly the reason why he was able to trap the other guy before, because he was like, "Hey, I'm recognizing this stuff, so I must have changed it in the past already."
Yeah. Which, I mean, like, it's a solid argument. I mean, like, do you ever actually change the past when the past is already, changed? I mean, and it's the same thing for the notes, right? When you figure out
Yeah.
that the guy is being told these notes and he's like, oh, I have these dreams, these memories, and everything like that, and he's reading off the notes. It's the same
Mhm.
thing, right? It's not that he changed the past or did something unusual in the past. It's already happened like that. It's just mentally the guy doesn't really remember because of a traumatic experience, and it's like it doesn't matter anyways because the school got demolished and whatnot from an earthquake. So, but what if it never changed? What if that's actually how it was supposed to play out? What if that's exactly what they were supposed to do?
Well, on that note, I got a question.
I might have an
What
answer.
happens if they go back and do this thing, right? How are they going to know? How is the client going to know to pay them? Because if he goes back and changes everything he's supposed to, right?
Well, it's not that he goes back and changes everything he's supposed to. He's not going back to change something. He's going back to get information. And
Hmm. But in
for
the
the
one,
one that was very specific, it wasn't that it was going back to change anything. He just wanted them to go back and relay a message, and that was it.
yes,
And the client would still inevitably come to them to have that message relayed.
I get that. But okay, so I go to you. You've got this power to go back in time, right? And I'm like, hey, I need your help. I need you to tell a relative who's going to die that I love them very much, and I need that. I appreciate them more than they know. You just convey a message that I was not able to at the time. I was not clear of mind, but you have the ability to go back and make me speak those words, right? Once you're done, am I even your client? 'Cause why would I need you to go back if it was already done?
Because you're not going back telling them verbatim the words that you're telling them at the time, and from how they're interacting and everything like that, because they, when they're taken over, they don't even remember the events that happened or transpired during that time frame. It's like a dream for them. And he even says that I have this dream, and that's part of the message that he tells the captain. I have this dream that, I was really great at basketball and I was dunking and I was really, really great at basketball and we won the game. And they go back and tell the other message, I wish you went and changed schools. I wish you did this. I wish you did that. And okay, fine. This will actually happen. Peaky promised me this. And same thing. It's like, I wish this, I wish that. Like telling messages, like if they were standing in front of them, telling them that then, So for them, and it's the
Mhm.
same thing for episode 1 when Cheng sends that text message. She doesn't, and Cheng at the end tells her, I sent those messages. And because she didn't remember ever sending those messages, because she was scrolling through an entire message chain she had no idea about after
Mm.
the fact. And that was an immediate instance where you could see, like, even if he goes back, when he takes over, for them, it's more of a dreamlike state than anything else for what happens when he takes over their body. And it's the same thing when the kid gets kidnapped and he wakes up and he finally, when Chang leaves the kid's body, kid's like standing around. He's like, what the hell happened? Where's my mom and dad? What's going on? And starts crying instantly. It's, again, it's not that they would go, oh, this is already told, I don't need to tell them. For them, it was a dreamlike state. It was a hallucination for them.
Okay. I mean, it makes sense. It makes it makes a kind of sense what you're saying there, and it's not
I mean, do you have an instance where that was not the outcome, or instance where for them it did ended up not being like that because their actions, how they look, how they're talking and everything like that really spoke that they were not aware of what was happening during that 12-hour period or during that whole time frame.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from, and I guess it makes a little bit of sense. But the way that I see it, the way that it makes sense to me is not just the way it makes sense, but the question I have: if I ask you to go back to change something, right?
I'm
And
telling you
afterwards-
exactly what
No,
happened. Like your question is
it's
like
a
if I
dreamlike state.
right. So if you dreamed you did it, but you didn't know you did it, why would you not come to me and have me go do it?
So you watched it in sub or dub?
Both.
Okay, I watched it in dub for most of it, and then sub on the last episode. I could have sworn in the dub, the specific person we're talking about had someone go back in time to everyone unfortunately died and all that stuff, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
nothing he changed would have actually made a real change.
Right.
So he went back and he was good at basketball. He went back and he stalked
They
the love of his life, all
specifically
that stuff, right?
stated, and I know what you're going to
Mhm.
talk about. He specifically stated in the first one when he was giving the message to the captain,
Yep.
I dreamed that I was great at basketball and that we actually had won the game.
Oh.
Both subbed and dubbed.
See,
Subbed and dubbed.
maybe I listened to it the wrong way, or maybe I was passing out. I don't know.
Because
But I could have sworn he said something to the effect of the memories of that time of when I blacked out came back to me in groups, and it was hard to believe that I actually had done that.
yeah, I dreamed because that's why the captain left is like I dreamed that we actually did this. Like, you know, it was a great time. You know, I was great at basketball because he's always been horrible at basketball. It's not that he was great at basketball, ever great at it. He was horrible at it. And that's why everyone's responses were them laughing because he's giving a message as if it was someone talking through him, right? And not actually him.
Yeah.
That's why they laughed. Oh, you're funny, or haha, that's hilarious.
Yes, that makes sense.
And again, I even go back to the very first episode after the Emma gets home, she starts scrolling back through all the messages trying to figure out what was going on, what happens, because she started seeing all these messages. She pulls out her phone, she sees a message, she starts scrolling through it. It's like, what was talked about? What happened? Because he actually had a full conversation with her parents or her mom.
Yeah.
Like, if you knew and you remembered, right, why would you need to reread the messages that you sent to figure out what happened? Because while she was rereading the messages, you were hearing the actual audible dialogue of what the discussion was without her actually talking to them, because she was reading the messages. She was getting that information for the very first time herself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, then how does that? So that eliminates my idea of, well, what would happen if you change something you don't need anymore? You know what I mean? You changed it from I absolutely need them to do this service to I still need them to do the service because I dreamed of it.
Yeah. Like, I dreamed this would happen. And that's why everyone like kind of had this like, oh, you give them a picture which is able to gather information or blah, 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 blah with the image of the past and everything like that. So it's not like they're going out specifically for that said information. It's very, very specific use cases, very specific scenarios in which they're being contacted, which then reiterates what happens towards the end, where it's like, what if I already went back in time and made these changes? And that's why we got this mysterious message. It's because of this. I mean, like, what if all those quote unquote changes that and same thing, right? The changes that he made for the basketball player that ended up causing him to find them, to give those messages, to give that message, right? He already went back, did those things that caused him to want to leave those messages and everything like that, because it was like a dream like state for him.
It's so weird,
right?
One of the great things about talking to you about anime is you give me a different perspective. one of the worst things about talking to you about with anime is you give me a different perspective.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
Thanks, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like I was so sure about a certain thing, and I was like, yeah, if they mess this up, it's no good, because if they end up messing it up, then they'll never actually get the job to begin with, which means they'll never go back, and it creates a paradox. And then you come in with, well, no, they do it anyway because this is, and it makes sense when you say it. And then I was like, yeah, one guy's older. You're like, not really. They're just yin and yang. And I'm like, that makes so much sense. And it sucks because I didn't see it before. And then with you're like, I don't know how you could miss it. I'm like,
it's yeah. Look, man. Chang and
Exactly,
Lou are
exactly.
just like you and me. We're yin and yang, man. All right.
Yeah. Yin and yang, you say?
I mean, am I wrong? I mean, are they not kind of
No,
like us?
you're right. I mean, no, not yin
excluding
and yang.
excluding the time traveling portion. I mean, like, obviously neither one of us could do that, but yet,
yeah. Give it time. God, what would you do if you could travel back in time?
Oh, there's a lot I would do, but then again, it's probably already done. So I don't know. Maybe.
You're
But
not a Bitcoin billionaire, so.
Yep. I don't want to mess with that stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy where I'm at now. I worked my ass off to get where I'm at now. Would I want to cheapen it by giving myself shortcuts?
Yes. 100%. Yes. Oh, I mean, no, of course not. Never.
Well, what about this? Here's a slight caveat, right? So you go back in 2000, whatever, and you purchase, a few $1,000s worth of Bitcoin, and you give the file to a lawyer and pay them however much money, be like, deliver this on such and such day. And it's like, a week from now. He'll be here, deliver this to them then.
So you're taking the Back to the Future approach.
Ooh, yeah. Yes.
All right.
I knew I didn't think of that on my own, but I was like, maybe I did.
I just watched Back to the Future on New Year's. They had a marathon running for all 3 movies, running all day. And it was like, all right.
I work in telecommunications. I don't watch TV.
I was at my in-laws, and they had it on TV all day. So,
I got a question.
I might have an answer.
When was the last time you physically watched a commercial?
What do you mean? Like
not
is there
not
a way
YouTube
to
ad?
When I was at my in-laws on January 1st?
Jeez, yeah, I haven't. I watched TV recently, and my dumbass was like, I would like to skip this ad, and it wouldn't skip. I was like, oh, I'm watching TV. Crap. And then I got more invested in the commercials than the show.
Well, that's just sad at that point.
Oh, goodness. Anyway, so I sidetracked, I know. But just so I go back to my initial premise of it reminded me a lot of Quantum Leap.
And Back to the Future.
Yeah, the biggest distinction, and Back to the Future. But the biggest distinction was in Quantum Leap, he was sent back to change. Here, they're sent back not to change, but to gather information, right?
Well, it's not that they are sent back. They choose to go back.
Okay.
At the landlady's, as they like to call her, request for their client, for Ling.
Now, is it limited to one per...
One travel back, one jump per image.
So wouldn't it be an interesting idea?
They do specify this. So take the case for the child, right? He travels back through the video camera and he's himself. However, he travels back again for that exact same thing and he's able to be the kid in that instance. So he himself was existing in the child and separate outside of the child at the exact same time, at that exact moment in time.
He does it one more time as somebody else too, in that exact same time.
No, he doesn't. Just the two.
I thought it was 3. Wasn't he that chick who was beside the girl?
No.
Beside the landlady?
He travels back in time to be her, but not at that instance in time. He travels back in time to when she walks in the shop to give him a job. So he, in essence, argues with himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was funny.
So he exists technically when he, and you are not wrong, he technically at that time did exist in 3 separate places, because when the landlady Ling saw him, she goes, I thought you were overseas. So he did exist. He existed in a different place. He existed there, and he existed inside the child all at the exact same time. So there were 3 of them in one spot in that instance. And every time he travels back in time, and it's not a too distant past, not too far in the distant past, he is still technically there at the exact same time as himself. So he is still there in duplicate. It's just that was one of the instances where he would have been there 3 times.
Okay. So why don't they, Big Fat for instance, take a picture of themselves before every jump, so that if something were to go wrong, he can go back in time in his picture and be like, hey, this is going to happen. I need you to prevent that.
Because you can only jump into that picture once.
Yep.
So if he messed up in that picture, the one time that he jumped in that picture,
take another picture.
But they can't, because the picture is already used.
Yep. So
for the initial jump, so you're like, take a picture of them before they jump. Yeah, that's cool. But how do you know that? So from my understanding is they're only allowed to enter the picture once. So even going back in time, trying to change, well, that would still change time. That would change something, right?
It might.
No. No. That would still change to the timeline then at that point, because you're saying change.
It feels like a cheat.
You're still saying
it feels like you could be cheating.
You're saying change
so it would be
time.
Like this. Let's use you and me for an example.
Hang on. No, you're saying change timeline. They went back, they screwed up, right?
Correct.
Go back and change the timeline so that way they don't screw up.
Yes.
So you're saying do what they're saying not to do.
Kind of.
No, not kind of.
No, here's my kind of. Here's why I say kind of. Because instead of changing somebody else's timeline, they're changing their own timeline.
No, because that would change their timeline. Still.
No, not really. Think about it like this. Before, when they're trying to trace one of the victims, right? And they're like, oh, if only I would have done this. If they took a picture right before that, and he's like, hey, I need you to tell me specifically at this particular time, pay attention to that, All right, cool. Boom. So now instead of failing immediately afterwards, that failure becomes a success, potentially.
Well, it's not so.
And then destroy that picture.
It's not that they were traveling back in time right after they messed up, so that way they could prevent it from happening. They still were able to get the information. They didn't mess anything up.
It took them 3 times for that kid.
It didn't take.
It could have taken them 1.
It didn't take him 3 times.
Once as himself, once as the chick, once as the kid.
No, not as the chick. Why do you keep bringing up the chick? She was something else entirely.
Maybe I'm mixing it up then.
You are. So
why was he the chick?
He was the chick because she wanted to figure out what the guy she liked said.
Oh, jeez.
That's why he was her. It's not that they went back 3 times. He only went back twice. Once as himself and then once as the kid. And when he went back as the kid, he was able to get the accurate information.
Yeah, and he was able to kick ass, which was awesome.
Right.
So I have a weird question. It's not weird. It's my initial thought process when I saw the first episode. I wanted to know what your thought was. When you watched the first episode and he's like, yeah, this is awesome. I changed a little bit, but it is what it is. It's fine. And then the next thing you see is the client's body shown up as a dead body. I really thought that the white-haired dude is the one that picked her up, and that after every alteration, if there is an alteration, they've got to dispose of the client.
No. Did
you get that initial feeling?
Nope.
What did you think? Why did you think she was dead?
Because of the information that she gathered, obviously she wasn't supposed to know about, so she was taken care of, and I wasn't too far off the base.
Not entirely. Not entirely. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. So, if you had to take a guess, who do you think the bad guy is here?
Well, it's gonna be someone none of them know.
Someone none of them know, but they know them?
Well, he only knows them because of the events that happened in the last like 2 episodes.
Gotcha. Yeah. But it didn't puts them in the dark. Puts us in the dark for a lot of things, and it's leaves far more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Leaves far more questions than answers.
Yeah.
Not something I'm in all honesty, I might be losing interest in it. I know there's a season 2 coming, but for the cliffhanger that they left in the last episode, you shouldn't have that you shouldn't have a cliffhanger like that, in my personal opinion, unless you've got another season coming right after it, because I'm going to lose interest. What you have there leads me to believe that the next season is going to end up exactly the same. It's going to leave me off wondering way more than I should, and it's not fair. It's not fair. By the time season 2 comes out, I'm not going to want to watch it. So they I don't know, maybe they overplayed their hand as far as like the mystery, but like I'd love to link click this to be a little bit better of an ending.
I gotcha. So your score is 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 6. I want it to be better. I do. Everything about it is good except for the ending. Great premise, great ideas, flawless execution of most of what they do. I like the duality between the two that I didn't notice before, but makes perfect sense.
Right. For me, I'm gonna go with 5, middle of the road.
Interesting. Why?
I just wasn't a fan of the animation style. It felt like they were going. I understand the suspense build and the want for it to be like mysterious and everything like that, but at the end, how it all came together just felt very sloppy and like it was rushed, right? Like they were running out of ideas, and so they decided to go, well, what could be a really, really cool idea or a really cool thing to do right now? And so that's the approach that I got from it, the feeling I got.
Makes sense.
Also, I find it really weird and unique that it ended on at an episode 11. Like typically there's like that little extra push, that little extra oomph.
Yeah.
And it didn't know it no exist. So
it's frustrating for sure.
So
yeah, that's about all I got for it, man.
Yeah, that's all I got, man. So 5 for me, 6 for you.
Yeah, not a fantastic show.
It's not bad. It's just not great. It's nothing I'd write to home about.
Yeah.
So next week is another recommendation from Angel, I believe. I'm gonna say. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
I am almost positive that it's from them. I'm not saying nothing until I check. Yes, it is.
Sweet.
And it's a movie, and it's called From Up on Poppy Hill, like as in poppy seeds.
A movie called From Up on Poppy Hill. Okay.
Yes. Yep. That's all I got, man. I got nothing else. However, the one after that is still a mystery, even to me.
Well then,
because it's your choice.
Of course, I'll work on figuring out what we should watch.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. And if you were here for the technical difficulties for our live stream, thanks for hanging out with us doubly so. And if you feel like we got something right, something wrong, did it too much justice, not enough justice, just look too deep into it, didn't give you enough of that sweet, sweet time traveling granddaughter goodness, feel free to let us know. All our contact information and everything like that is available on our website, www.featuredanimepodcast.com. Again, we do have an affiliate links for you in the show notes. If you click on that, it'll take you to rightstuffanime.com. We do get a little bit of a kickback if you do buy something on there. It is very much appreciated. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything related to the movie on there, but we do have a general link on there. So knock your socks off, buy yourself a little bit of some, and, think of us while you're doing it. We would very much appreciate it. You could also get some of the pre and post show content that we usually do. And we are also doing a very painful, very, very unfun patron exclusive. Unfortunately, because apparently our patrons don't care for us all too much.
Oh, they care. They care plenty. They just, you hurt the ones you love, you know?
I guess so. Because we're watching so far, unless the tides change, Dragon Ball Evolution live action. Yay, team.
The one where Piccolo had slick back hair for antennas. Great.
Yeah. All right.
Great.
So, but if you want to catch that, you got to be a patron. That is the only way to be able to get that wonderful, delicious, tasty episode that's going to be coming out here soon. As well as some of the pre and post show that we almost always do with very, 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 very rare exceptions. Patreon.com/featured anime podcast is where you can go get all that wonderful stuff. And if you want to buy some of our merch, help spread the love, give your spouse, friend, coworker, whoever a nice, wonderful sticker, mug, or any wonderful FAP merch, shop.featuredanimepodcast.com is where you can get all that. And until next time, I'm Jack.
I'm Rick, and we'll see you next time.